This meeting is being recorded.
So welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and today my guest is Tatiana Personokracia, and we are going to talk about the flower of life, or is it the daisy of death? And yes, we are both aware that there are people out there and articles out there that will fight tooth and nails for the flower of life. And what you decide at the end of the day, that is your decision. We are just presenting a different point of view. So, Tatiana, welcome. Welcome to Night Flight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I read on your website, which is, by the way, withinmypower.com, and I read there that it is our task as humans to figure out who and what we are. I would agree. And in that light, who is Tatiana?
Ooh. Okay, I'll answer that. Tatiana is infinite love energy.
Okay. Okay.
Period.
Yeah.
Tatiana is just a label to identify the individuality of the infinite love energy that we all are. We identify with the little me, which is ego me. And when I realized 22 years ago that I'm not little me, I am infinite love energy. And so that's the first step is to come to that understanding. And then once you understand that, one has to integrate it into this physical body that is my vehicle in this reality, in order to integrate that infinite love energy into this vehicle. And I've been doing that for the last 22 years. It's a process, obviously. It's a process that's, who knows for how long it will unfold. But I've been doing it consciously for the last 22 years, and I can honestly say that I have achieved a much higher level of consciousness and understanding of who I am.
So if we all are infinite love, why is the world so fucked up?
Exactly. Because it has to be. It has to be really fucked up. And I like your terminology, therefore I repeated it. It has to be. The divine does everything in perfection. And in order to go to the next level, which humanity is going to the next level, that's a fact. That is not an opinion. Humanity is going to the next level, which is the divine being, as described by many. And so since humanity is ready, and this is this perfect time, well, not the perfect, it is the time. It's the perfect time and the time when humanity will achieve this. But in order to do so, we have to live this horrific, challenging time in order for the few, and the few are very few. I've heard the number of about 300,000 is all that is needed out of the 8 billion that we supposedly are. We need 300,000 of individual souls that are actively integrating this energy into their physical bodies in order to reach this tipping point where we it will flip from, let's call it, the 3D Earth to the 5D Earth. So how the details of any of this, I have no idea, and I will not even attempt to explain what it's going to look like. I simply know that I am one of the 300,000 that is contributing my infinite love energy in order to achieve this turning
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I'm not so fond of 5D.
Okay, I'm just using the term. I'm using the term, and I would like to hear your saying not so fond. I'm just using this 5D term because it seems to be a common term. So, would you please give me your perspective?
Yeah, sure. Well, the first point would be I'm pretty sure that things are corrupted up to 6 and 7D.
Wow.
And
Okay.
the other thing is, I talked about this with Howdy Mikoski, and he has the same attitude as I have with the 5D. And he said, no, he said, the D stands for depth. In other words, we are going deeper into the matrix.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So that is, but I'm not here to.
I don't get. I'm very non. So, I don't get stuck in terminology at all. Everybody has their perspective and their way of explaining things. For me, from day one, 22 years ago, when I was hit with the awakening energy, I've followed my inner guidance from the start, and it's ultimately got me into some real challenges, obviously, but all those challenges have always pushed me forward. And so again, I don't care to get stuck on specific terminology. When it moves me, when it feels right, I put that into my being, and I try to share it in whatever form resonates with me, which I then say, okay, I will share this because this resonates with me, and that's how I move forward.
Yeah. So the flower of life. Yeah, that is also, let's talk first about, I'm having also a little bit of an issue, I have to admit, with, people slapping the word sacred in front of anything and to make it special, and you cannot question it. Yeah, allegedly, we also have sacred prostitution, which is total
Oh
nonsense.
my
It is
God, I've never heard of that.
yeah. It is still a business transaction, and it
Wow.
doesn't matter if it's happening in a temple or if it's happening at the whorehouse. And so the same goes with sacred geometry. I always thought, why is that? Why slap the word sacred in front of it? And yeah, it never really felt natural to me. It is geometry. Can we get over it? Yeah. Why does it have to be sacred? So what is your stance on the word sacred in front of whatever?
Well, okay, I will tell you. Basically, I've had, little kind of steps. I guess I will call it steps of information that has reached me. And like I said, I started 22 years ago, and throughout those 22 years, I've been moving with these steps forward. Whenever something reaches me, I it it resonates. It resonates inside, and then I take it on and I go a little deeper into why does it resonate in me? What's going on? So I've been, the information about the Fibonacci spiral has been floating around out there. And years ago, obviously, I've got some information about the Fibonacci spiral and sacred geometry. And so I kind of looked into it, and it made sense at the time that that everything in nature comes from this sacred geometry, from this Fibonacci spiral, time-wave spiral. And I kind of got whatever I got out of it and moved on. And then suddenly, I guess it happened in 2003. I think it happened in 2003, beginning of 2003. Suddenly got this email from Personal Croatia saying that the Fibonacci spiral is actually a death spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? I mean, not that like I said, I got attached to it, and this whole sacred thing was like, a deeply personal attachment. No, not at all. Nothing is for me. But still, it hit me that, the words came that the Fibonacci spiral is a death spiral. And so that woke me up again into, I need to look into this. I was like, what is that? And that's when I looked at Ian Parks and went on his site and listened to his video about the Fibonacci spiral and the Krystal spiral. I never heard of the Krystal spiral before, and that was the moment that I first heard of the Krystal spiral and the information that came from Ian Parks. And again, it all just made sense. It all made sense to me that this matrix, for a lack of a better word, that we're in a matrix. Go ahead, interrupt me.
No, Tatiana, your image is, going do. It is your chair or your desk, is that movable? Because it always almost
You're
makes
talking
me
about my head or
what?
my voice?
No, the entire image. Now it's okay. But sometimes, I don't know, when you go back and forth, it can happen sometimes when let's say the chair is, yeah, moving
I'm
up
going to
and
try
down.
to, Lee, do you think I can change this powder?
What?
I'm going to change my my setting. If we lose each other, we'll have to
No,
reconnect.
we don't have to, you don't have to change the setting. It's just,
Oh, the setting is just clicking one little.
and no, she's frozen.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so you have to remind me where I left off.
The Fibonacci spiral, you looked into it, it made
Okay.
sense to you.
So I realized by listening to Ian Parks and by looking into the information that he provided in this video, that the Fibonacci spiral is a death spiral, and it made sense to me that we're in a matrix, and the death that this body always goes into. I mean, any body eventually dies. And so it made sense to me because of my personal Krystal teaching information, plus what Sri Aurobindo and the mother are teaching. It all sort of came into an understanding that absolutely this matrix is a death spiral. And so the Fibonacci spiral is a death spiral.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, okay, this is amazing. This was another piece of the puzzle, of the big puzzle, that I could now put into place, and because the whole idea is an understanding of this big puzzle. And every time I get a new piece of the puzzle, I get a better perspective, a better view of where we're going, what this is all about. And it made sense to me that we have to choose. We have to consciously choose the crystal spiral.
I think we should talk a little bit about why it is, so that people can understand why it is a death spiral. So for one, it loses its connection to the 0 point or God source. Yeah, it gets bigger and bigger, and there is no connection anymore. Yeah, that
goes
is
away from the God source, the 0 point. Correct.
Exactly. So that to me is a very big point. Then it always has to add something to itself. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It has to get energy
time
from the outside. I think the way to describe it is it needs to add energy from the outside, as opposed to feeding itself from the inside. That's how I describe it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and in that sense, I would say the Fibonacci spiral even symbolizes the war over energy here on Earth.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because it consumes anything that is in its way.
It needs the energy from the outside. In other words, it consumes all our energies. And that's why we are getting drained constantly, because we are providing our energy in one form or another, completely unconsciously, to this evil force that is eating us up. For me, just to come back to my starting point of 22 years ago, I realized that taxes are my contribution towards evil. And when I realized that it's my energy, it's my infinite love energy, at the time I just saw it as energy, my contribution towards evil and everything that evil does, I contribute. And when I faced that understanding, that's when I said, no, I can't. I simply can't do that. It was a financial question, but that's energy, right? Finances, money is energy. It's my energy that is being voluntarily contributing to evil. I didn't understand at the time the Fibonacci spiral or crystal spiral, any of that. I simply understood that I'm contributing to evil. And evil is taking my energy and doing whatever, killing, manipulating, all this evil is happening because I personally contribute, and I couldn't do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And so now with the flower of life, what is striking are the 60 degrees angles. And that is something that we do not find in nature. And it is a finite system. From the outside, you can even see a very pronounced border, so to say, yeah, around it. And to me, there is no way that it is perpetuating itself. No, it cannot.
No. That's why it keeps spiraling into death. For me, again, coming back to nature, because you first hear this information and you don't know anything else. One doesn't know anything else, and one accepts it as fact, as nature. And so we talk about nature as this perfection. But you look around nature and everything dies. Everything has a death cycle. And so when this information came to me that it's an actual death spiral, I started looking at the nature around me completely differently, as opposed. So I understood, because things were dying around me, and I'm frustrated because I'm trying to cultivate this beautiful plant, which is an amazing source of food and energy, and it's dying. What is going on? And so putting all these pieces together has been an amazing journey for me in understanding that it's me that has to change. The energy has to come from within me to project it on, and then the nature around me will reflect what my energy is giving out. And so that's what's been happening. I can see it in the soil. I can see it with the plants. I can see it with everything around me, that I'm changing. I'm the one that's changing. And then the reflection from around me is changing. I see the beautiful orchids behind you, and I have orchids in my corner out there too. It's my favorite flower. It's the most beautiful flower that projects this infinite love energy.
But this is just a background photo.
Oh yeah? Oh, well, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and that is why I chose it, because I thought, yeah, this is really pretty. I like orchids as well.
Oh yes. And it's the official national flower of Colombia.
Yeah, okay.
Where am I?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I used to bring orchids from Bangkok, and I also bought lotus flowers there and took them back home.
So certain nature around us just projects more life and love energy than other things, I guess. That's why we connect to it, right? We have a sense of connectivity to those beautiful things.
Yeah. You know what? I think the Fibonacci spiral flower of life, I think it is an imposter geometrical template. It's just doing as if, but if you look closer, the entire thing falls apart.
Right. would you allow me, please? Oh, I have it here. I thought I had to leave. I have to connect my computer. I'm losing energy.
Oh, okay.
And I also need to take a little break. So give me 3 minutes, please, or two.
Okay, sure.
This meeting is being recorded.
Is that new on Zoom? I never heard that. It's saying it at your end as well, that the meeting is being recorded. Never
Yes,
heard
it is.
that before. Yeah, anyway.
Mhm.
So I wrote down one sentence from a particular article that I found quite interesting about this topic. And it says, the artificial flower of life is an entropic system of AI architecture intended to digress consciousness from the original divine blueprint of 12 tree grid and manifest a closed source system of anti-life forms. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%.
Mm.
And like I said before, I'm living it. I'm living it in my body and consciously seeing it all around me. I have become, especially ever since I connected to this specific information, this spiral, Fibonacci spiral and crystal spiral information. Since I got that, I am even more sensitive at seeing things around me. And because I have now the explanation of what is going on. And it's the visual around me, because like I said from the beginning, I've started going with my gut, with just feeling that this is the right way to go, this is the right journey to take, and I go with it without having to have logical facts and explanations. Many people work, my husband being one of them, they're very logical. They need, the understanding of what is going on before they will get on that journey. For me, it was like, if I feel it, I'm on. And 22 years later, having this explanation is hugely helpful, because when you understand that it's a death spiral, that it's a closed system, that it's a matrix, that we have been tricked into being, into living, and now the answer is, we can get out of it. We can definitely get out of it. And I'm seeing the evidence with the plants around me, with nature around me. So it's, and first it was very difficult for me to accept that nature around me, which I perceived as being, a lot of people use not only the word sacred, but use the word nature as a descriptive of the divine force. Well, if you understand that nature around us is simply a reflection of that death spiral, then you start looking even at nature differently.
Mm.
But
When,
go ahead.
when you say you can see it all around you, that things have changed, what do you mean specifically? Is it that plants grow better, they are taller, stronger, whatever? No, what do you mean?
I'll try to give you a specific description, because I got to this property. We came to this property, again, guided to this property. Um, Divine intervention, guided to this property. And on this property, I see, there's this old house, old dilapidated farmhouse in Colombia. And I walk down a few steps from the house, and there's the waterfall in front of me. And the energy from that waterfall, the beauty from that waterfall, just again instantaneously took over and said, "This is it. This is where I need to be." Shortly thereafter, after purchasing this property, I found out there's a plant growing here. And this plant, I learned, is called Sacha Inchi. I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about nothing, for that matter, about plants, because I was, a city girl all my life, a dentist, and, other than my grandmother, always working in the garden, good Ukrainian woman. And so I had the connection to nature from my grandmother, but basically that was the end of my my connection to nature. And when I came here, I found this plant. And so later, making a long story short, again, I felt there's something about this plant. I need to cultivate this plant. And nobody knows about this plant in Colombia. It's something that actually comes from Peru. It's called Sacha Inchi again. And I just knew I had to cultivate this plant. But I started because, again, people came, and I planted 1,500 plants on my soil, knowing nothing about soil, knowing really nothing about cultivation, just knowing that you put a seed in the soil and it grows. Well, it did actually. It actually grew, and it started producing this miraculous nut, which is extremely healthy, which has properties that foods generally don't have, and it all has it in this one nut. Anyways, I cultivated it. So that started, I planted it 6 years ago. So about a year after I came here, and we collected a certain amount of this nut. Couldn't sell it to the general businesses out there because they were offering a ridiculous price to buy something that was so amazing and required a lot of time and energy. And I realized quickly that no, I'm not supposed to sell it to them. So I stored it. I stored it because I felt, again, that there's a different direction that needs to be taken. And since it's a nut and it has natural antioxidant properties in it, something changed.
Yeah, I know.
Am I still okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
yours is still on, no problem. Just go ahead.
So it has these natural antioxidant properties, which mean it's preserved naturally for an incredible amount of time. And so life just kept going, and this plant started dying. It just started dying out of nowhere.
Mm.
And I'm like, branch by branch, plant by plant, 1,500 plants died on me.
Oh,
And it's this, it's this visual. I put this love energy into something that felt was the right thing to do. And then, all of it sort of slowly got destroyed completely in front of my eyes.
yeah. I pulled this picture up because, okay, here, in case anybody hasn't seen the flower of life, this would be what they call the flower of life.
Right.
And this one here is, yeah, the crystal spiral.
The crystal.
Yeah. And, even if I knew nothing about this, just by looking at it, I would
Just
be
by looking at this visual, yes.
Yeah, I would be attracted to the one on the left-hand side. It feels really organic.
Correct.
Yeah.
But not just the color. The color, for me personally, teal is a beautiful color that I'm attracted to. So not just the color, the other one being black and white, but obviously the complexity of the petals of that image, as opposed to the somewhat simplicity of the flower of death.
Yeah.
Correct. But again, coming back to the Sacha-Inchi plant, 1,500 plants just died. And I couldn't understand what is going on, right? And we depend on plants to survive. So it was a survival, attack on me. So what was going on? Anyway, I don't give up easily, and I found out from the man that kind of guided me into this project that he also had a similar problem, and a few cultivators that started trying to cultivate this plant also had the same problem. So it wasn't just me; it was generalized. Oh, I didn't. I plugged in the battery and then I didn't put it on. Okay, so so I was like, okay, I'm running out here. Anyways, he suggested that I plant another variety, more resistant, stronger variety. And so, but this stronger resistant variety seed was extremely expensive, and at that point, we ran out of money. We literally ran out of money. And so now we depend on the cultivation, whatever is happening here from the coffee, or we need that, and we needed the Sacha-Inchi to survive. And I have nothing. And I can't even buy the seeds because they're so expensive. The initial seed was less expensive, and this one is ridiculously expensive. So I bought whatever I could, a certain amount that I could, and replanted that one, eliminated some of it because I couldn't replant 1,500. So I eliminated some of it because I actually initially tried to sacrifice more or less 10,000 coffee trees in order to replace them with this Sacha-Inchi plant.
Yeah.
What you do is you cut down the coffee tree stump and you plant the other plant beside it. Well, what happened is the other plant started growing and again started producing. But within about a year or a year and a half, as it started producing, it also started dying. It was like, what? This is crazy. But at the same time, the coffee came back, grew back. So the 10,000 plants of coffee that I tried to kill came back and started producing coffee. And I decided, okay, let's do symbiosis in that particular part, because I have two different parts where I'm growing the Sacha-Inchi. In one part, we used to have pine trees, and pine trees really put acidity in the soil. The soil is horrible. It's just reflects, literally, it reflects death. It's not nice soil. It's not black earth producing soil. It's this red clay. And so that's what I mean by physically seeing death in the soil. So the Sacha Inchi, I decided to keep it beside the coffee and see how the two plants grow side by side. Why sacrifice one for the other? Let's allow both to grow and see what happens. And so that Sacha Inchi started producing now, whereas all the Sacha Inchi that was planted, or just about all that was planted in the soil with the where the pine trees were, started dying again. It was like, this is crazy. And I understood at this point that it's all in the roots. Well, the root of my problem is that I have to understand this whole infinity life spiral and not concentrate my energy on the death, just concentrate my energy on life, and not try to save what is dying, just concentrate on what is alive. And so this Sacha Inchi plant has been just guiding me slowly but surely. I just yesterday replanted again for the third time, replanted again, but now I'm using my seed, not the seed from the system, not the seed from the death spiral system, but my infinite love seed that was produced from this plant. And even if the plant dies, now I'm using my seed to start over. So it's all a matter of understanding what's going on all around me. And I see the soil, even this horrible, crappy clay soil that nothing, I mean, a little bit grows and then it just stops because the roots cannot penetrate this clay. Roots need to grow and develop, and they can't do it in this clay. But with 7 years later, the soil, which I've been removing all the weeds from, I have 10 hectares of land, and I'm using a hectare, almost 2 hectares, or a hectare and a half for the Sacha Inchi plant, and I have to physically remove all the weeds constantly, and the soil just gets better and better, and you can see it gets softer, and even this clay actually is workable. So, but it's time. It doesn't happen, just because I decide to take on the crystals, to get on the crystal spiral. Yes, that has to be the conscious decision that I choose life, I choose crystal spiral. I now have to do in my action, because action is absolutely essential in my opinion. I don't sit there meditating on top of a mountain. I'm in action every single day.
Yeah, yeah. I totally
And that's
agree. I no longer do that either. Put it into the real world and you're better off. And that is not to say if people like to meditate, yeah, then go ahead.
that's fine. Yeah, there's
I
nothing
have,
wrong with that.
yeah. So,
But if you simply meditate and assume that something's going to happen from the outside, no, I don't believe in that anymore. It has to happen from inside of me, because the source, this infinite love source, is inside of me. God, if you choose the word God, is inside of me, not outside.
So another thing that is important with this subject of the flower of life is the flower of life is based on a biwave system, and the organic system would be a tri-wave, meaning matter, antimatter, and pre-matter. And you will find similar thoughts when you dig into the 369 mathematics, Marco Rodin. And when he explains that the original code is not binary, it has to be based on 3. So that is a topic, but that has a lot of layers, so I'm not going to do that today. But yeah, that there is so much distortion and deception, and everything is sold to us as special, sacred.
Sacred. That sacred word is huge and powerful in the deception.
Yeah, yeah. So go ahead.
It's interesting because, again, 22 years ago, I started my awakening, and all these different steps led me to, well, the initial steps led me to personal Krystal. And personal Krystal was describing things in a very simplified way. And so it's interesting that through personal Krystal, because I got this email from them, you know, all these years later about this Ian Parks and the crystal spiral. So it all started through personal Krystal. I'm learning, and personal Krystal, it teaches, which is personal Krystal is Dr. Glenn Lantou. She gives this simplified information about the 3. So it's 3 circles, and it's all been, she's been talking about the 3 circles, and and all of it not related at all to this information that now has surfaced, and yet it was all there. It was, and then she also, as she was growing in her level of consciousness, Dr. Lantou, today Guy, she also stumbled on how Sri Aurobindo was talking about the same things in describing things in his way. So, and it all comes back to this 3 circles that intersect into this center energy, that is the one, unification, source, God, source, and point 0. And so for me, when this information came back to me through Ian Parks, and then it went on to a different woman, a French woman that has a website, Anne Bouquet. She was talking about quantum energy, and so that added further explanation to me, for me, and further confirmation for me that everything that I've been living for the last 22 years have just been adding and adding and adding more logical, I guess, explanation of what is going on.
Yeah. And this entire system that is based on a biwave, that is actually the Metatronic reversal grid.
Right.
And I know there are probably hundreds of thousands of people who are head over
That was
heels.
like tooth and nail to preserve that.
Yeah. And that is also an understanding that needs to be hammered home. Metatron is not a singular entity. He is not the highest of the archangels. It's an entire collective that, meddled here in our affairs. And when you, as, let's say, a higher developed collective, if you meddle too much in a system where you actually do not belong and you fail, then the entire collective fails. And that happened to them. And they have been taken over by an AI in the meantime. So, oh my goodness. It's, I wish people could, you know, could see it, that a lot of things that are proclaimed to be helpful and, you know, protective and whatever it is, that it's all bullshit.
You know, you're talking about wishing. I have tears in my. Sorry, but you
What?
just triggered me.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was not my intention. Shall we stop a little
Obviously,
bit?
not. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. Today is my daughter's birthday. She just turned 30, and she's one of everyone in my family who remains completely and totally asleep.
Mhm.
And as much as I've been trying for 22 years to project my infinite love energy onto my loved ones, my close inner circle, I did not achieve anything.
But you
That
know
is
what, Tatiana, I get it why that hurts you. I can totally see that. But honestly, we don't know what the plan of her soul is at the end of the day.
exact.
Yeah. And
And
I went not like that. Yesterday, I was called to a hospital, and my ex-husband, but we are still friends, they wanted to switch off the life support.
ooh, okay.
And I am so angry with the hospital because this situation was preventable. He went missing last year in July. And for 2 months, we had no idea where he was. And then finally, I found him in a different city, but a city where he usually never was. Yeah, so that was the last thing where I thought he might be. It turns out he had toxoplasmosis, and for many weeks the hospital didn't know who he is. He had no IDs on him, no phone, nothing. Yeah, and then after a while, okay, we figured it out. And the first time I visited him, he was not even able to speak. When I went in, the nurse told me, yeah, maybe he will not recognize you, but he did. He did. And then when I was there in August, no, not August, in somewhere around October, November, he was actually on a very good way. And he was walking around and he was having a conversation. And I remember distinctly that I told the doctor, his doctor, I told her, if he needs a place to stay, he can be with me. Yeah, once you are finished with your treatment. I also said if it's only that he has to take some medication, and other than that, nothing is happening here, I can take him to my home, and you give me the schedule, what type of medication he still needs to take. And yeah, so it turns out yesterday they just released him into a assisted living facility. And he was not fit for that. And guess what happens? The first night he is there, he walks out, nobody noticed. And he collapses, gets into hypothermia, and then into cardiovascular arrest. And now he is a vegetable because nobody knows exactly for how long the brain didn't get any oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was preventable. And because, you know, everything just happened, yes, and I'm still angry. I am so angry, I cannot even feel grief, you know? And I talked to the doctor and the nurse, and they got a part of me that was very angry, because I also said that, you know, in all these months, I gave you the email addresses of his family in Kenya. You never even tried to get in contact with them. And then the nurse said, yeah, we do, how can we know if that is the correct person? And I said, seriously, that is your fucking excuse? So, you know, and just a couple of minutes ago, when you said we need to let go what is dying, that reminded me very much of that situation. And but I cannot get right now, I cannot get over
And
anger.
it's too fresh. It's too fresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a process. But exactly what you're describing there, our ego program, our Fibonacci death spiral program kicks into gear and takes over your body. So at this point, the way I perceive it, if you allow me to add my 2 cents worth, this is your journey. It's about you. It's not even about him, because his journey is completed.
Yeah.
And now it's your journey in reaction to this creation, which is your creation, in coordination with him, to allow you to work through and integrate into your body more infinite love energy. But it obviously won't happen overnight. But being conscious of that, being in understanding of everything we're talking about, the letting go of expectations. I have a mantra that I go through every morning and every night. And it's like, this is the mantra. I surrender to Tati, infinite love energy, Tati. And I aspire to an intimate contact with Spirit I without expectations. The without expectations is key. Ego has always expectations, and it takes over our body. It literally invades our body. It takes over, period. No matter how conscious we are that we're not ego, that we are spirit I, the ego program keeps, just takes over, instantaneously takes over. The difference between you and I and the majority out there is that we are in conscious understanding of what's going on with our body. And we can work through it one
Yeah.
day at a time, one
You,
moment
you
at a
know,
time.
you know, it is not that the fact that he is gone. I do not have a very neurotic relationship with death. Okay, yeah, I always thought I would be the one to die first because of our age difference. That to me seemed logical. Okay, it came differently, but what really sticks with me is the incompetence, the sheer negligence
It's
of,
not even incompetence. Yeah. It's negligence. It's abuse.
yeah. Yeah, how can you, who made that decision to drop him in an assisted living facility where, and even when we talked about they wanted to put him into a rehabilitation program, yeah. And I said, yeah, if you do that, could it be a little bit more closer to where I live and all his friends, because they are more in my area here and not where he is? You can talk and talk and talk. It is as if you are talking to a wall.
Yeah. Yeah. The unconsciousness surrounding us, all around us, is incredible, and that's the challenge for us to see it and accept it, and not have our ego expectations of what it should be. Because the divine is perfect, and we know that the divine is perfect, therefore everything is perfect. It's as we started off this conversation saying, this insanity, this what's going on around us in the big picture, it needs to happen. It has to happen in order to push the few that are ready to move forward. And so these experiences, these challenges, move us forward. So I know it's all about me. It's all about me. I have to progress and contribute. And all these other souls that surround me, be it my daughter, be it my family, be it your friend, your ex-husband, they are key in helping us, in giving us the opportunity to have these leaps of consciousness through these experiences, through these frustrations, and recognizing that we have to allow everything that's around us to unfold, and we need to observe it from our perspective and understanding that we are learning and progressing and leaping forward through all of these experiences. Can you just pinpoint how old is your ex-husband?
He would have been 46 in April.
Very young, obviously. Very young, yeah. But
Yeah.
that, again, is his journey. It's been his journey, and your journey with him continues, through him continues, in whatever it is that you need
No,
to achieve.
you are frozen. You are back. Okay. Oh,
That is probably low network bandwidth, it says to me here. It's
yeah.
probably my internet again.
But you know what? It isn't really a problem because our hour is already gone. And so, Tatiana, do you have anything that you would like to add to the subject of the spiral, Fibonacci spiral, the flower of life that we have not touched on that you think might be important?
I'd like to end by saying that, again, everything is perfection. That's another mantra I concentrate on. Everything is perfect. No matter how frustrated. Hey,
No,
go ahead.
No, it's not.
It is. It is, and it's interesting because I talked to my mother, and my mother is very much of part of the unconscious gang. And when I say these words, everything is perfect, I irritate the daylights out of her because she can't even hear me speak these words. She gets irritated by them, right? Well, it is perfect. And I'm not just saying it anymore. I am at the level where I know it, I feel it, and I live it. It's not to say that I don't get frustrated. It's not to say that tears don't appear in my eyes and I, I go through these difficult emotional moments, recognizing that I'm alone, and it's a difficult, lonely journey. It's a lonely journey. But we need all these other souls around us to push us along on this journey. And so at whatever level we're at, it doesn't matter. We need to last. We need to last because this is our time. This is the time when the flip will happen. The details are not important.
The flip to
That
what?
is flip to an infinite love, energy, divine being.
Okay.
Okay, how that's going to happen, nobody knows. Nobody, because our mind cannot imagine and it cannot understand what is going on. We get this information, we get this explanation. We're talking about the Metatron, and we're talking about the death spiral and the life spiral. Those are all explanations that the ego mind does need, because the ego mind is very structured and it needs to understand, but it cannot imagine. It cannot imagine what's going on, but it's happened. And I know, I have absolute faith that this body, this vehicle that I'm using, that is not, it's just the vehicle, right? The spirit I is using this vehicle in order to last as long as it needs to last for that critical mass of individuals to reach this level of consciousness in their individual action every single day to allow this flip to occur. And what is it going to look like? What is it going to be? I have no idea, and I don't even try to explain it, other than to say, I'll be there in this lifetime. I will be there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I wish you all the best with that. So, yeah, guys, that was it. Night flight for today with Tatiana and the flower of life or the flower of death. We see you all next time. Take good care of yourself and stay safe and sound.